As I sat there at lunch, staring at the fish laying on the table, which I swear was staring back at me, I realized that I was in an environment I had never been in, and in an environment that, honestly, if you'd told me 6 months before I would be in, I would have thought you were crazy. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. As I sat down at this little restaurant called the West African Village over in, I believe it's Irving area of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, I was amongst all gentlemen from outside the country. In fact, while there were some expats, and by that I mean they had left their home country to come to America, but none of them were born and raised in Central Texas where I was from. All of them were from Africa, somewhere, most of them from the Congo. And as we sat around lunch, I just answered the questions that they asked me. I really didn't have an idea what this was going to lead to or what kind of relationship we were building here. I, in fact, had only had a brief conversation with one of these guys before, and that was at Starbucks when there were 3 or 4 of them and myself. And they said, would you be willing to teach some of that leadership stuff to our friends in the Congo? So when they invited me to come to lunch and I sat there staring at that fish that was staring back at me with eyes still in his head, I was a little bit nervous. But when we finished our conversation that day, after teaching around lunch, I figured this is a great opportunity. This will be a good one for the record books, a good one to remember. But the invitation was extended beyond there to actually travel with this group of guys into the Congo and teach leadership. And I realized I'm not even sure how this whole relationship started. And so I asked, how did you get my name? What made you think that I would be willing to do this, or that I was qualified to do this, or anything like that? And so one of the guys in the group, a guy by the name of Governor Hubert, said, well, I was in a network meeting where you were speaking. And this is a small group. I've been going there for 7 or 8 years. It's probably not more than 20 people. I think maybe the most I've ever seen there is 40, ever. But on average, it's about 12 to 15 people. And he came in one day when I was teaching on leadership, and he sat in the back of the room, and he didn't say anything to me. He got up and left before it was over, and then a couple of weeks later, he was back, and I was teaching again, and he got up and left and didn't say anything to anybody, and then I get a phone call, and I meet him at Starbucks. That opportunity to travel to the Congo has been several years running now. I serve on the executive board with this team for bringing democracy and leadership to the Parliament of the Congo. And I consider that a very high honor, a huge opportunity for me to take what I've learned and be influential in the lives of people that I'm not going to see every day. And it happened because I gave of myself, I gave of my time, I gave with nothing in return. Nothing planned in return, nothing expected in return. I just gave. I can tell you how many times I've been to network meetings and I fall into the trap like everyone else does, that we're there collecting business cards. We're there trying to gain as many business opportunities as we can. We're there trying to pull out, to eke out a new business opportunity. And I can tell you that almost all of the big opportunities in my life have come from giving first. And I don't mean give for the purpose of getting. I mean giving of yourself in such a way that it doesn't even seem like you have a strategy, because you don't. You've forgotten about you, and you're just giving for someone else's benefit. You're being relevant to their need, not your own. And in that transition, in that transaction, in that relationship, doors begin to open up. I was invited to go play pool at somebody's house on Friday night of last week. And this is, again, a group of guys that if they saw me out in public, or I saw them out in public and just passed each other on the street, we might be cordial to each other. But the likelihood that our circles would run into each other or revolve would be very, very slim. And because I was giving of my time to someone else's political efforts, someone in the crowd saw me and said, hey, maybe we can do business together one day. And I said, we'll talk about it. And then I went and spent some time at his house, and he invited me to somebody else's house. And so here I am among these gentlemen and playing pool and having a great time in a circle of friends I would have had a really hard time achieving any other way, because I gave of myself and I gave of my time. And that's my challenge for you today. Whatever skills, gifts, talents, attributes, business opportunities you have in your life, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, how could I just give? And who would benefit the best? And if you can find the place to just give, not expecting anything in return, I think you'll be surprised at what comes back in return. Not because that's what you're pursuing, but because you're giving of yourself, of the very best of yourself. That's my challenge for you today. Go give something. And if you're not sure what, pick up the book Go Giver by Bob Berg and dig into that for a minute. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Leadership team. If attitude is going to have a deep impact on your business and bottom line, make it a positive attitude with a positive impact. Visit jlorennorris.com/attitude hack